Welcome to the Chicago Golf Report podcast.
So as you said, I've spent basically my whole career in the golf industry. Starting at Callaway Golf, where I spent 17 years in a variety of roles. Started out in custom fitting, working with technology back in 1998, where technology was kind of new to at least club fitting and that kind of thing. Transitioned into roles in sales and then product development, product management, and then ended my tenure there as the director of marketing for Odyssey, putter side of the business, after managing Metalwoods prior to that. I moved over to Superstroke Grip Company, kind of staying in the world of putters at the time, and ran marketing for Superstroke and then left there and went to a company called Blast Motion, which is really on the tech side of the business. Also still very, very heavily invested in putting, but really brought my passion for the merging of technology and feedback and golf improvement / enjoyment to kind of its peak. And joined Uneekor earlier this year. The opportunity came up, and it was something that I just thought was an unbelievable opportunity for the company, that it was available for, along with the industry, as it's, the simulator and indoor golf industry is booming, and we don't see that ending anytime soon.
I would imagine if you were able to put yourself back in 1998 when you started with Callaway, and to say that in 2023 you'd be with this company called Uneekor that makes simulators, you would have probably said, wait a minute, that's not possible.
Yeah, no chance. And I'll tell you what, I see stuff from our engineering team, and I was in Korea for a couple weeks about a month ago, and saw stuff that made me say today, no way, that can't be happening. So yeah, exciting times in this industry for sure.
Yeah, there's so many different convergences with simulators and launch monitors and where we are right now. Can you give a little background on Uneekor? The company hasn't been around that long. I think it was 2015. Can you tell us a little bit about how it got started and what's evolved?
Yeah, well, our parent company is called Creates, and they're in Seoul, and they've been around and doing this golf-specific launch monitor and sensor engineering for 15 years. So they are veterans in the field, industry leaders over there. We formed the U.S. company here, Uneekor, in 2019 is really when it kind of launched. So 4 years in the U.S. market, but over a decade of experience in the Korean market, where screen golf or simulator golf is insane. I mean, everywhere you look, there is a facility, and we have thousands of pieces of technology in bays over there, and we own facilities ourselves over there. So really born from overhead launch monitors, ceiling mounted, looking down at the ball. We have some technology that we're really proud of. We are photometric and infrared, so we actually capture launch condition. And we do that with a technology called dimple optics. So we measure ball speed and spin and direction by measuring the movement of the dimples of the golf ball without markers. So any golf ball. And then we have what we call club optics, which is a camera view of your club pre-impact, a still at impact, and then a video of pre-impact and post. So when you hit one and you go, that felt kind of weird, you can literally look up and see impact in real time on the ball or with the ball. So those are two really, really unique technologies that we have. But that's kind of the history of Uneekor. Was overhead. We introduced a portable launch monitor this year called the iMini, photometric and infrared. And the benefit of a portable is just that, it's portable. You can use it for full simulation indoors with a gaming PC and software, or you can pick it up and take it to the range or your lake house or second house or third house, whatever you have. The portability of that allows it to be very, very useful and an entry-level price point versus doing a full custom overhead sim build.
So the exposure that I have to Uneekor is within the past 2-3 years. I think I talked to the folks at Carl's about you. I've talked to there's a sim place in St. Charles here in Illinois, Mike's Golf Center,
Yeah.
who uses your technology, and it's always the it's kind of the peak, right, in terms of the industry, like really great technology that provides great data and great information. But it seems to be sort of the top of the line. Now you've also offered, like you talked about, the iMini, which is the portable device. What led you to get into getting off the ceiling, but now onto the ground?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, the ultimate experience is ceiling mounted. And I say that because it's out of the way, it's aligned perfectly. You get unbelievable views of the club face coming through impact, a little different than the side view with the camera. So a little more fidelity there. Your hitting zone with our IXO2, for example, is enormous. So versus trying to find a little spot to get your ball into the right spot so that it can see it, you kind of don't have to break rhythm. You drag a ball over and it's there. So the portable entry though was twofold, really was to make our products and our technology more accessible to more golfers, which is part of our mission statement. We try to make top quality equipment, best in class, and then offer it at a value that makes it more approachable for people of all budgets, if you will. We were kind of missing that. Our overhead only, it was a very high cost of entry. And with portable now, you can get in and build a full sim regardless of kind of your setup at a very affordable price. For example, I live in Southern California. I don't have an extra room and I don't have 12-foot ceilings in my house. So I use a mini on a putting green in my backyard. We are blessed with beautiful weather most of the time. So I have a nice net, a 50-inch TV and a mini and a gaming PC, and I have full simulation in my backyard, day or night, because the cameras infrared see at night too, which is pretty awesome. And I can hit into a net and have full simulation on a big screen right in front of me and play, thousands and thousands of golf courses or work on my game. I have a son who's an avid golfer who works with iMini all the time. And it not only keeps a golf club in your hand 12 months a year, which is great. But the feedback and the data is just a wealth of information that you can take and improve with, which is, not everybody's goal, but most people would like to play a little better than they played yesterday. Even if they're just in it for fun, you still want to make some putts and hit some fairways and hit some greens.
So let's take a step back and talk about the various components of a simulator. Most people think golf simulator, you talked about there's ceiling mount, there's also on the floor, but you also sell sim kits. Can you talk a little bit about each of those components as people think about, understand what goes into what a simulator is?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, when I started here, it's not an easy undertaking to understand everything you need to build a simulator. To your point, there are a lot of parts. And there is some technical know-how that you need to have, or a great handyman or a great installer that can do it for you. However, you do need an enclosure of some point, of some type, whether that's 8 feet by 12 feet or 12 feet by 10 feet. We sell enclosures in a package at various different sizes. You need turf, right? A tee line or a hitting line. And then most people opt to put turf in front of that tee line, so when a ball hits the screen, it bounces down and doesn't hit tile or concrete or bounce all over your house. So you'd have an enclosure, obviously with a screen. You have turf. You have a launch monitor, and you can do a ceiling mount launch monitor, or we have a portable now, which goes off to the side. You need a gaming PC or something with good enough graphics to run these golf simulation softwares. you need, with our system, most of our systems, you don't need marked golf balls, so you can use any golf ball you want. So then the last piece would be the software, and then finally a projector. So if you want to project your image, you need a projector that can be mostly a short throw projector that can fit kind of the dimensions needed when it's mounted overhead or on the floor, but really close to the screen versus like a movie theater. Right. So we sell a couple different packages where you choose your launch monitor, you choose your enclosure size, and then right now we have a ridiculous promotion going on with partnership with LG that includes an upgraded 4K projector, which just makes the experience so immersive and real because the graphics are so good.
Now, do you sell you sell software that comes with it? Where's the software created, and what do you recommend?
So everything is done in-house. So all of our software is created with our software team in Korea, with a bunch of feedback and, you know, begging and asking from the US team on what we'd like to see over here. But our view software, which comes free with purchase with any of our launch monitors, is an extremely powerful piece of software for improvement. There's a simulated range. You can run, we call it a Power U report that pulls insights out of there, gapping your bag. You get the camera views, all of that in both PC version if you have a home setup with a PC, or if you're portable, you can take an iPad app and connect to Wi-Fi or hard connect to your portable and have all of that view software via iPad, which is very cool. So
I think,
yeah, so we do that, and then we have some internal products that allow us to connect to third-party software. So your GS Pros of the world or TGCs can seamlessly integrate with our technology. So when you hit your shot, launch monitor data immediately goes to that gaming software, and you can experience the wealth of courses that they offer or are proprietary.
so I think one of the takeaways is that I've seen from instruction is that the instructors I've worked with for the last, I don't know, 5, 10 years, maybe even that much, have used software. They've used a launch monitor. And especially here in the Midwest, where our golf season gets shrunk a lot,
Sure.
you get used to that. And so a lot of the instruction that I've taken has been indoors, and becomes to a point where it's seemingly the data is just as good as what you're going to get outside. The only thing you don't have are different elements. So there's a huge benefit actually to getting instruction indoors. What do you think about the impact that simulators have made, launch monitors have made on instruction, especially for those of us who have a shorter golf season outdoor?
Yeah, I think it's an enormous opportunity, again, to keep a golf club in your hand 10 to 12 months a year, right? I'm born and raised in Southern California. I marvel at the people who can put their clubs away for 6 months and come back and still be good. Or you have to travel, right? So there's a lot that goes into it. The influx of indoor facilities and launch monitor facilities, or the access to launch monitors, has kept people's games, I think, kept you in kind of mid-season form throughout the year, which again leads to more enjoyment. And then the whole, you know, the instruction side of it, there are teachers out there who don't teach with technology and they're great at what they do. We think our technology only emboldens, you know, qualified teachers to really dig deep into the data and figure out, Walter, what you are doing that is different than what I'm doing, and really get to the point to help you specifically improve in a personal way that might be different than me. And I'm pretty sure nobody has eyes good enough to capture what we can capture with infrared and the high-speed cameras that we have.
So you talked about the Korean market and how that is sort of this epicenter of indoor golf and simulators. Here in Chicago, the businesses that have started within the past 3-4 years is just boom. So we've, by my last count, we have 70 indoor simulator businesses, the majority of which were started within the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Where do you think the possibility is for these types of businesses to grow, and maybe specifically in the colder weather markets like we are at?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I do see the growth in the Midwest and the Northeast where the weather changes, but I think there's still a huge opportunity, countrywide in terms of there are a few that are popping up now in Southern California. Again, if you just take weather, you guys are going to win in terms of the amount of facilities that are open. If you take time, expense, access to a golf course or nearby or range, getting a tee time, all these other factors, and heat, to be honest with you. I go out to the desert a lot. My parents live out there. It's hot. In the summertime, there's no chance of playing golf out there. I would certainly go downstairs in an air-conditioned room and play golf. So I think that that's the beauty of golf is people just want to play. They don't doesn't matter where or when. And what we try to do as a company is make that experience the closest thing to the real thing as we can. So graphically, the sounds, the technology, the accuracy of our equipment, and the accessibility makes for it an opportunity to spread across the country in a big way going forward. I play probably 3 rounds of simulator golf at home at minimum per week after work. So it's 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night. I pull my TV outside, drop a mini down, and my son and I can play wherever we want, which is fun. And it takes an hour and a half. And I get my fix in, right? I feel competitive. I hit some good shots. I hit some bad shots. But I got to play a round of golf at 7 o'clock at night in November or December. And that was it for me, right? I didn't have time to go to the range or the golf course.
So I have to admit my head is spinning with the thought of that, that you're able to do that, because that seems to be the holy grail. Let's talk a little bit about that then in home, right? Because I know the thing that I'm up against right now is the fact that my ceilings are too low, right?
Yep.
And so I could go to my garage, but the best I can get is, let's say, a 9-iron, in terms of that. Where do you see this capability, especially for those of us who can't do it year round, like you're able to do outside? Do you anticipate at a certain point that even in our homes that the ceiling height limitations are going to have to be expanded just because of the popularity and the technology? And it all makes sense. If you're a golfer, that's what I want. I want to be able to do what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, from a tech standpoint, right, ceiling height doesn't matter to us. We can capture imagery and help simulate. It's literally a physical limitation of, can you swing a golf club in the room you're standing in without feeling, like it's going to fall down on you. So yeah, that is a big challenge of the home system. We've seen unbelievable setups, even in the outdoors in cold weather markets, under a pergola, or you build a 15 by 15 foot literally box is what you need. And you can hit balls inside, right? You just need to be able to swing, and you put a heater in there. So we've seen some ridiculously creative things happening for people like you who look outside and go, gosh, I want to play golf today, but I can't. How can I make this work? So yeah, I do think in the future, these kind of the ability to put something in outdoors, even in bad weather, that allows you to do what you want to do would happen. And I'll give you a weird comparison. Christmas time and holiday time, I keep seeing this commercial for this portable sauna, right? I think that was like luxury if you have a sauna in your house. Well, who has room to put a sauna in their house? But now you can buy a little portable sauna, put it on your back deck, and literally experience that in a very small space. So I see this industry kind of working towards that for the in-home stuff. But you can get pretty creative. It's pretty interesting. And you probably can swing a wedge if you have 8-foot ceilings. You probably go up to a 7-iron without feeling like you're going to bash through the floor or make your neighbors mad. But but you can get your iron work and your wedge work and your short game work in with a net and a portable for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. So let's finish up with a couple of questions then. I want to talk about instruction. So I've talked to multiple instructors here on their preference between on a simulator indoors versus outdoors. And the consensus is actually that these instructors would prefer indoors because they're still going to get the data. The elements are going to be limited. The only thing that you're not going to get are various lies and whatnot.
Right.
Have you seen that? Is that something that you've seen as well, just because of the technology and the preciseness of the data you're able to provide?
Yeah, I think from, in the ideal world, and I did fitting at Callaway, and what we had was technology indoors and the ability to roll up a big garage door and fire the ball outside, because people do want to see flight, particularly professionals and elite players who are trying to curve the ball certain ways. I do think from an instruction standpoint, the ability to not be affected by cold weather, sun, let's face it, the lie, it's beneficial sometimes to have the same lie repeated. And then just the controlled environment is a very, very good way to film or to capture data. And then film got me onto the ability to add cameras to the equation. So, we have what we call swing optics, which is a side view and a down the line camera that sync with our software and cut your swing up into digestible pieces, marking impact, and you can compare, you can draw, you can annotate. All of that kind of instructional stuff can happen in a controlled environment with great lights and great cameras and a balance mat. You can mix all these different things into it. So add a bunch of technology where bringing all that outdoors to the range, I'll be honest, is a big pain in the butt. And you got to run power and all have, there's a lot that goes into it. So I think indoors is certainly the future of golf instruction as one element. If you don't have capability to work indoors, I think you're going to be a little bit behind the curve in terms of teaching and instruction.
So final question for you. I'd like to get your thoughts. Obviously, this is all assumption, and we know this is not going to happen for another year, but the idea of TGL and that an entire new league based around simulation, well, how do you think that might evolve, and what do you think that might be a catalyst for with the golf industry?
Well, I think it's fantastic for the simulator world. Anything Tiger's in is going to be really successful for the most part. However, I think it's going to expose a lot of people to the fact that these are professional golfers. We've seen them play hundreds of rounds likely on the golf course, and we know how far they hit the ball. When they see that it's virtually the same, and that the curvature and the shots and the good and the bad mimic what you see on a real golf course at such a close proximity to reality is going to be great for the industry. So I think the excitement around that, the ability for millions and millions of consumers to see that, hey, there's not only one way to play golf, this is kind of the future, it is a huge opportunity. Speaking of the future, like we have a promotion running right now, which is extremely aggressive in terms of price and what we're offering. And we're calling it Experience Golf's Future, because we really think get ahead of the curve and future-proof your golf game is going to be done by having the accessibility to play 365. I wake up at midnight or 2 a.m. and I'm bored, I can go hit balls. That has never been around before. And that's kind of, I think, where things are going.
Yeah, I know for me personally, there's a big disparity between hitting balls before a round and not hitting balls. And you don't know, well, you do know where you're going, but a lot of times the ranges some of these courses don't have ranges, right? Or it's hard to get to the range unless you have a certain amount of time. It always seems to me like that could be expunged if you have the ability to have a simulator at home. You hit some balls before you get in the car, you go, you're heated up. I also think that's probably another huge benefit for it.
It is. And our gaming, our proprietary software, when you go to play around a golf, there's a driving range there for warm-up. Literally, before I play a sim round of golf, I will hit 10 balls just to like be able to move after getting out of the car. And that's kind of a reality. Again, I go back to the thing that we all don't have enough of is time. So it's very rare, I think, that me personally has the time to go 35 minutes on the range, roll some putts, stroll over to the first tee. Like that happens like once every 6 months for me. It's usually getting into the parking lot, doing a couple of these, rolling some putts, and then I'm first tee. Let's see what happens. If we can help eliminate that, I think it helps people's game, stretching, anything you can do to help get warm before you start playing, whether it's in a sim or on the golf course, only leads to better, in my opinion.